Good now, everyone. I hope this broadcast finds you well. My name is Artorius Winchester, Scholar of the Dreaming Glade, and welcome to something a little bit different that I'm trying out. So I've been wanting to do, like, a couple of little different bits and bobs in regards to the old, streams and that for a while. And one of the ideas I had for them was, why not do some stuff where, maybe in a sort of chill manner, I read, various things that interest me, to all of you out there. So I thought, what better way to trial run that than by doing a bit of an SCP reading stream. Sorry, I appreciate I've really just jumped straight into the main premise of this one, like, very soon on. I hope everyone's doing well. I've had an alright day today, and I also hope that, my volume is okay. I've changed things around a little bit compared to normal, so I might be a bit louder because I was anticipating being a bit more chill in my vocals, shall we say. So hopefully I haven't blown anyone's ears out, because I've just looked at my OBS, and yep, that might have been too loud on that first bit. My apologies. But yeah, hopefully this is an okay volume. I'm also a little closer to my mic than I normally am. Hold on, I just gotta go and check that. Okay, yep. Oh well. I'm sure it'll be fine from here on out. But yeah, good now. I hope you're all doing well. So yeah then. Oh, I've also just noticed as part of the April Fool's thing that Seribot's got its capitalization the wrong way around. That's funny. Yeah. Couldn't think up of a good enough April Fool's thing for myself today, so I just left it be. I thought there'd be enough, There's enough misinformation in the world today, as is. I need to put more there. Although I have to say, I think outside of, like, Project Voltage adding Teto, which was a fantastic thing to do on April Fools, I haven't actually seen that many good, like, gags or April Fool's jokes this year. Like, it all just seems to have passed me by. I mean, maybe it's just because the Americans are still preparing for their kind of wave of it at this point, but, I'm just really not sure I've seen anything decent, in terms of April Fools this year. But not to worry anyway. So, I guess I'll hop back on to the main premise of this stream. So, SCP readings. I've got a collection here of about, let's have a look, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got a collection here of like 10 of my, 10 ones I quite like. Some of them are very, very common, very popular. I'm sure, so some of you who are diehard SCP fans will be able to recite those ones along with me. Some of them are still popular, to be fair, but they're a little more off the beaten path. Hi there, Mara. I hope you're doing well. Yeah. Would you mind just letting me know if my volume's okay at the minute? Because, like I say, trying something new, I've got the audio set up a little differently, and I get the feeling I might have blown everyone's ears out in, like, the first second of this, but, like, oops. But yeah. Like I say, I'm trying something, like, a little different here with this reading stream. And I hope that, me talking in this kind of more chill cadence is something people can put on and maybe not necessarily relax to, given the subject matter. I'm looking forward to comparing your favourite SCPs against mine. But what I was going to say is that I've got a list of 10 here that I quite like, and then ooh, your volume seems fine. Excellent, that's what we like to hear. Right, that's good news. But yeah, so I've got what do you call it? Oh, it just reminds me actually, because I've set up a new audio thing, I need to mix that properly. Oh, I've got to change around my audio settings again, actually. 1 second. Where do I find the advanced mixer? The only thing SCP I'm familiar with is LobCorp, since it's heavily inspired. Oh, indeed, indeed, Sinclair. In fact, if you're not familiar with SCP, well, first off, welcome in. Glad to see you here. I hope you're doing well. And second off, if you like LobCorp but you know nothing about SCP, then you're in for a treat this stream. At least I hope you are. Like I say, there's tons and tons of SCP, readings and that out there. And there's people who've done, you know, more fancy graphics than I for this lot, shall we say. But I hope, you know, having me, like, give you a bit of an intro into some of my personal favourites might inspire you to go and find more, because there is literally thousands of these things. You're going to be able to find one that's your favourite, for sure. I'm also actually, given that this is a stream where I can kind of move things around a bit, I'm going to move chat down a bit. That's a luxury. Ooh. Don't have to look up to go and see you guys anymore. So you don't notice how I'm going like, huh, I'm looking at chat, I'm looking down here, I'm looking at chat, I'm looking down here. Because I think doing that messes up my tracking a bit as well. Not to mention, obviously, if I'm pointing up, my mouth isn't pointing at my mic. But anyway, this is all technical gubbins. What I probably ought to do is start with, I guess, our first SCP of the evening. Now this one, I think it's one that everyone knows, but I want to start on a good kind of like ground that I think most people will, like I say, know about this one. Let's start with, you know, something basic and then get into the more, not incredibly esoteric and, you know, unknown, but some of the slightly more unknown ones compared to this particular fella. So I'm also going to be typing these up in, there we are, let's find that, edit you. So our first SCP is going to be 96, and that font size is too big. No, it's not actually, it's fine, I just need to move it across a bit, but it will be too big for some of the later ones. So we're going to start with 96, which is known as the Shy Guy, and then we'll move on to some other ones from there. I'll do a couple of mine, I'll throw it to chat, because Mawa seems like they've got, say, something that they want to compare and contrast, and I'd be quite happy to, you know, read some ones, you know, that are chat's favourites. You know, put my own spin on them, as it were. But yeah, so if you want to follow along with any of these, what I would normally say is that you can find all of these on the SCP wiki. However, in the case of this one specifically, the page has been replaced by a quiz at the minute. The chill vibes of this stream combined with the horror themes of SCP is going to be a treat. Well, actually, it's funny you should speak about the horror themes. I need to switch the music over to something a little more fitting. There we go. Let's get a little spooky, shall we? Just a little bit spooky. But yeah, so what I would normally say for all of these is that you can simply Google, you know, SCP, whatever the number is, and the wiki page will probably be the first thing that comes up. For this one, for reasons that will hopefully become relevant later, I would recommend not image searching this. Wish it was nighttime, but it's barely midday. It's like I always say, Sinclair. Any time of the day is the evening if you feel like you're less than 2 hours from falling away from sleep. Falling away from sleep? Falling to sleep, damn it. You know what I mean. I buggered that up twice because I was reading chat, but yeah, it's the evening if I'm less than 2 hours away from going to bed. Hi Artie, looking forward to a reading stream. Hi there Mimi, nice to see you, yeah. I'm looking forward to trying this as well. We're going to be reading some spooky SCPs. Yeah. So, as I was saying, so, for all of these, you can Google them. At the moment, though, I think, unless you have a backup to the article, the 96 article is doing something funky at the minute. Not entirely sure what. But, anyway, I'm going to just stop stalling now and hop right into it. So, we're going to go from the top, work our way down, essentially. And I'll be reading some of the attachments, depending on if they're relevant for a particular SCP. Like, so the ones I've picked, I'll know fairly well. The ones I haven't picked that, you know, chat recommends me, I'll read them if I want more detail. And if not, I'll just leave it as, you know, the, excuse me, whatever's given base in the article. So, anyway, without further ado, here we go. SCP-096, the Shy Guy. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-096 is to be contained in its cell, a 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter airtight steel cube, at all times. Weekly checks for any cracks or holes are mandatory. There are to be absolutely no video surveillance or optical tools of any kind inside SCP-096's cell. Security personnel will use pre-installed pressure sensors and laser detectors to ensure SCP-096's presence inside the cell. Any and all photos, video, or recording of SCP-096's likeness are strictly forbidden without special approval from Dr. Redacted and O5, also redacted. Description: SCP-096 is a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height. Subject shows very little muscle mass, with preliminary analysis of body mass suggesting mild malnutrition. Arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of the subject's body, with an approximate length of 1.5 meters each. Skin is mostly devoid of pigmentation, with no sign of any body hair. SCP-096's jaw can open to 4 times the norm of an average human. Other facial features remain similar to an average human, with the exception of the eyes, which are also devoid of pigmentation. It is not yet known whether SCP-096 is blind or not. It shows no signs of any higher brain function and is not considered to be sapient. SCP-096 is normally extremely docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell indicating it spends most of its day pacing by the eastern wall. However, when someone views SCP-096's face, whether it be directly, via video recording, or even a photograph, it will enter a state of considerable emotional distress. SCP-096 will cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying, and babbling incoherently. Approximately 1 to 2 minutes after the first viewing, SCP-096 will begin running to the person who viewed its face, who will, from this point on, be referred to as SCP-096-1. Ooh, it's 5 AM somewhere? Very true, Mara. Also, hi, Lunatel, nice to see you. Yeah, welcome in. We're doing some cozy SCP readings. I use the word cozy in very, very big air quotes because subject matter at hand with SCPs. Anyway, where were we? Documented speeds have varied from 35 kilometers an hour to redacted kilometers per hour, and seem to depend on the distance from SCP-096-1. At this point, no known material or method can impede SCP-096's progress. The actual position of SCP-096-1 does not seem to affect SCP-096's response. It seems to have an innate sense of SCP-096-1's location. Note, this reaction does not occur when viewing artistic depictions. See document 096-1. Upon arriving at SCP-096-1's location, SCP-096 will proceed to kill and, data expunged, SCP-096-1. 100% of cases have left no traces of SCP-096-1. SCP-096 will then sit down for several minutes before regaining its composure and becoming docile once again. It will then attempt to make its way back to its natural habitat, data redacted. Due to the possibility of a massive chain reaction, including breach of Foundation secrecy and large civilian loss of life, retrieval of subject should be considered alpha priority. Dr. Redacted has also petitioned for immediate termination of SCP-096, see interview 096-1. The line, order is awaiting approval, has been crossed out. Termination order has been approved and is to be carried out by Dr. Redacted on data redacted. See incident 896-1-A. Audio log from interview 096-1. Interviewer, Dr. Blank. Interviewed, Captain, retired, blank. Former commander of retrieval team Zulu 9A. Not gonna lie, it's really creepy how Artie's looking at me directly as he reads. Yeah, I'm signaling to you. It's behind you. Notice I could change my model tracking around a bit so it looks like I'm looking down. It's the only problem with me looking down is that, I should also probably move around a bit. I guess actually, you know what, maybe it fits the ambience. Oh. Yeah, I could change my model tracking around a bit, if it is bothering people sincerely. But also, maybe it fits the vibe. Anyway. Begin log. Unknown time, research area, redacted. Captain. It always sucks ass to get initial retrieval duty. You have no idea what the damn thing is capable of besides what jacked up information the field techies can scrape up, and if you're lucky if they even tell you the whole story. They told us to bag and tag. Didn't tell us jack shit about not looking at the damn thing. Doctor. Could you describe the mission, please? Captain. Yeah, sorry. We had 2 choppers, one with my team, and one on backup with Zulu 9B and Dr. Blank. We spotted the target about 2 clicks north of our patrol path. I'm guessing he wasn't facing our direction, else he would have taken us out then and there. No, it's great, I'm very comfy. Well, I'll keep right on going then. Dr. Blank, your report says SCP-096 didn't react to the cold? It was minus blank degrees Celsius. Captain. Actually, it was minus blank. And yes, it was butt naked and didn't so much as shiver. Anyway, we landed and approached the target, and Corporal Blank got ready to bag it. That's when Dr. Redacted called. I'm just using blank and redacted interchangeably, by the way. I hope that's alright. I turned to answer it, and that's what saved me. The target must have turned and my whole squad saw it. Doctor. That's when SCP-096 entered its agitated emotional state. Captain. Yup. Interview now pauses for a second before continuing. Sorry, got the willies for a second. Doctor. That's alright. Captain. Yeah, well, I never saw its face. My squad did, and they paid for it up the ass. Doctor. Could you describe it a little more, please? Captain. Yeah. It started screaming at us and crying. Not an animal roaring, though. Sounded exactly like a person. Really fucking creepy. Pauses again. We started firing when it picked up Corporal Blank and ripped off his leg. God, he was screaming for our help. Fucking A. Anyway, we were blowing chunks out of the target round after round. Didn't do jack shit. I almost lost it when it started to. Data expunged him. Doctor. That's when you ordered the use of an... Papers I heard moving. AT-4 HEDT launcher. Captain. An anti-tank gun. Started carrying it ever since SCP Redacted got loose. I've seen those tear through tanks like tissue paper. Did the same thing to a target. Doctor. There was significant damage to SCP-096? Captain. It didn't even fucking flinch. It kept tearing apart my squad, but with half of its torso gone, he draws a large half circle across his torso. Doctor. But it was taking damage. Captain. If it was, it wasn't showing it. It must have lost all its organs, all its blood, but it didn't acknowledge any of it. Its bone structure wasn't hurt at all, though. It kept tearing my squad apart. Captain. If it was, it wasn't showing it. Wait, no, sorry, hold on. That's what I just read. Doctor. So no actual structural damage. How many rounds would you say were fired at SCP-096? Captain. At the least, 1,000. Our door gunner kept his GAU-19 on it for at least 20 seconds. 20 fucking seconds. That's 650 caliber rounds pumped into the thing. Might as well have been spitting at it. Doctor. This is when Zulu 9B arrived? Captain. Yeah, and my squad was gone. Zulu 9B managed to get the bag over its head and it just sat down. We got it into the chopper and got it here. I don't know how I never saw its face. Maybe God or Buddha or whoever thought I should live. A jackass. Doctor. We have obtained an artist depiction of SCP-096's face. Would you like to view it? Captain. You know, after hearing that thing screams, and the screams of my men, I don't think I want to put a face to what I heard. No. Just... no. Doctor. All right. I believe we are done. Thank you, Captain. Chairs are heard moving, and footsteps leave the room. Captain, blank, is confirmed to have left interview room 22. Doctor. Let this be on record that I am formally requesting SCP-096 to be terminated as soon as possible. End log. Alright, and that's our very first SCP of the evening complete. That's the Shy Guy, who, I say it's a very infamous one in the SCP, kind of, I guess, realms, like it's very well known. And for you, Sinclair, as well, or for anyone else who's particularly into Lobotomy Corp, you may notice some similarities with Schadenfreude, in that they do not like being looked at, and that you should not look at them, or photos of them. Artist depictions apparently fine. Although, are they? Huh. But yeah, so that's our first SCP of the evening. I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm not really sure how to, like, to segue between these, I'll be entirely real. Like, Shy Guy's fairly early on the SCP canon, I feel. Well, yeah, I mean, number 96, you know, you're part of the first 100. That's, like, very, very soon, you know. Outside of, you know, SCP, like, 1, which is always a bit of a cop-out because there's, you know, a bunch of different proposals for it. I think you can kind of sense it in how it's written. Yeah, I've got some from, like, later on as well. Some real good ones later on that I'm excited to share. That definitely fit the creepier themes, but I've also tried to stir in ones that are also just a little bit interesting as well. And one that's really sad, actually. I have to admit, there's one here that's really sad. Yeah. I know a little but not a lot. Also, the game I'm playing is kind of bugged. Oh no. Well, I hope that sorts itself out for you, Sinclair. So, I guess we'll just I'll move on to the next one. Like I say, I'll crack a couple out the way, and then I'll take some suggestions from the chat. But our next one, I'm also out of plain habit checking chat on my top monitor, which you can probably tell when I could just check it here now. Okay. The next one doesn't actually have an SCP number. Well, it does, but it also doesn't. So we have to use its code name. And I think this one, maybe a few less people know about. Maybe I'm just completely out of my mind. Oh, I'm going to need to change that. Now I'm going to need to change that font size down to, like, I don't know, that. Yep, that'll do. So the next one we're reading out is Di molte voci. This one doesn't have any listed containment class at the top of the file, or indeed any physical reports on it. It fixed itself. Hey, bada bing. But yeah, Di molte voci is an interesting one in that it doesn't have a containment class. Well, again, it does, but it doesn't. And it doesn't have a number, but also it kind of does. But none of them are listed on its file. All that's left in its file is the following excerpts. Signing this one, designation SCP-246 if there are no objections, Russo Jr. That was taken yesterday. Just put it in an unused slot and we'll figure out how to make a formal designation stick, Russo Sr. The old title changes every time the page is refreshed. I assume it has something to do with the way this affects information? Kingham. Yes, this should serve as an example of the anomaly's properties. I recommend leaving this intact since it's basically harmless, Scranton. No objection, Russo Sr. 2 days later and we're still out of designation. Let's just use an informal designator so the report doesn't have to use the item and the anomaly to death. Russo Jr. How about Di molte voci, which I'm almost certainly butchering the pronunciation of. Italian for out of many voices. Grimes. Fine by me, unless someone who's actually fluent in Italian can improve it. Russo Jr. Not assigning an object class. It's not going to stay put, and the database search will probably choke on it somehow. Russo Sr. In lieu of an object class, Di molte voci makes documentation a huge pain, as you can tell. Preventing the spread of its anomalous effect has been pretty doable. Stay on your toes until we figure out what exactly it can and can't do, though. Ben Venistri. The little names I'm reading out, by the way, in case people haven't twigged on or haven't got it up for themselves, are the names of different people within the SCP Foundation that are commenting on this. So this report so far is just a giant comment chain. The database search already excludes info hazards, so you don't need to worry about that. Rosen. For the voci itself, I see no reason a standard lockbox wouldn't work. Should definitely stay at Site 82 since transportation risks incidental contamination. Kingham. A few of that site's lockboxes are password locked. I'm not seeing anything to suggest it would affect those, but keeping it under literal lock and key seems like a prudent precaution nonetheless. Ben Venistry. Anything key to specific phrases, numbers, etc. could be unreliable if the anomaly goes off script. That should be the guiding containment principle. Graph. What about retinal scanners? Site 82's bulk storage is behind one, and without those or ID badges we'd be pretty low on effective security options. The site has a strict don't rely on facial recognition policy, and I don't really want to know why. Ben Venistry. Retinal scans are almost definitely fine. Just remember to CC me in on any bug reports in that system. Graph. Besides the non-reliance on key phrases and formal signifiers, containment should basically entail a soft quarantine on any affected documentation and site-wide class 30 or 3G. Font's weird. Amnestics every few weeks. Scranton. Either you just suggested moving all of the documentation to temporary holding cells and posting guards only outside of the wing, or our fields have very different understandings of the phrase soft quarantine. Kingham. I see why you'd be confused. As far as memetics and info hazards go, a soft quarantine would permit limited information transmission, but cross-linking affected documentation to anything else would be kept to an absolute minimum, and properly conditioned personnel, i.e. everyone with enough clearance for this entry anyways, except Rosen, but I doubt he'd read enough for it to matter, are the only ones who would come within 2 layers. There's a whole protocol about it, but I can't exactly leave a link here. Graph. Hold on, 3Gs aren't standard for this type of info hazard. Scranton, elaborate. Graph. Did you read my work on infospatial desynchronization and Ling-Chi memeplexes? Ling-Chi memeplexes. My last paper discusses how these phenomena can mimic an area of effect, and it seems like that could be going on here. With an AoE this big, we can't afford not to try. Scranton. I reread the paper and I agree. 3Gs for the whole site, twice per month. Graph. Anomaly-centric or item-centric description? Ease of reading would normally dictate item-centric, but given the circumstances, I feel that the anomalies should get a thorough description first. Grimes. Item-centric is fine. Russo Jr. I'll get to work. Grimes. Di Molte Voci is a Harlequin mask made of carnival glass. Actually, hold on. That rhymes. Harlequin mask made of carnival glass. Could that be relevant? Grimes. Doubtful. Rhyming sensitive abnormalities, or... what was I saying? I've lost where I was. There we are. Yeah. Doubtful. Rhyme-sensitive anomalies, not abnormalities, that's too much Lobocorp, usually manifest differently. And an English rhyme would be bizarre in this case, but I would not rule it out. Good eye, Grimes. Graph. I think why you can segue to SCP articles to a bit of a, we're either new employees that have been agreeing to know this knowledge, or prisoners. Oh, okay, it's like either D-class or fellow researchers. There is, I know there's a popular series on YouTube that, like, does that. Oh, I wish I could remember the bloody name of it now, because I've watched a few of their videos. But, yeah, there is something that kind of introduces it as fellow researchers, but I'm down to RP a bit of that, sure, yeah. That's a good call, Sinclair. I might just do that. Anyway, sorry, after the bit about rhyming. The lab didn't find anything unusual except traces of oil on the inside, which suggests it's been worn. Hard to say when, though. Garcia. The central anomaly involves the disruption of certain information, randomizing some pieces and replacing others with whatever discussions went into it. Grimes. Seems to me that it's specifically affecting consensus-based information like standard anomaly summaries, which is why there's nothing close to a real containment report here. Just the stuff that's supposed to stay behind the scenes. Things like titles, protocols, object classes, explicit statements of authority, and a few other identifiers switch around at random too. Not sure why our names are unaffected. Kingham. This is a good layman's summary of the affected information. Essentially, anything authoritative in the right way is susceptible. Scranton. Of course, it's massively more complicated than that, and in ways we actually understand, but I guess that's good enough for an average reader. Why bother getting into the specifics when nobody reads or understands our papers anyway? Graph. Take it easy, Vanessa. This is going in the final version. Scranton. Die molte voce seems to have several vectors for affecting information. There's the classical info hazard, which means anything that deals with it in any real detail is affected. Anything that references or links to said documentation can be affected, but this usually has a reference threshold of 4. Graph. As an example, it affected the stack of post-it notes I left on Kingham's desk after I left a third about the voce. Presumably, the stars aligned. Ben Venistry. Believe it or not, I'm half convinced there's some astrological significance to Die molte voce, but nothing that would affect the reference threshold. Graph. Not too long after initial containment, we figured out it got a lot weaker outside of a 310 meter radius. I'm gathering that the Brainiac consensus is that it's not just a standard area of effect, though. Grimes. By way of advanced info hazard studies and my own pet theories, yes. It's not really a concern as far as containment goes, but there are some research implications that we'll have to add once there's anything concrete to say. Scranton. The death toll is 43 containment summaries like this one, 271 other Foundation documents and assets, and at least 450 affected pieces of information outside of containment. Russo Sr., updated 2012-08-08. The fact that there is no actual death toll is a testament to our fine researchers, containment specialists, and archivists. Garcia. We're already well paid. Don't feel the need to flatter us too. Ben Venistry. Somehow it felt appropriate. Garcia. So, Die molte voce might have picked up on vacation. Yes, those rumours about Foundation agents stumbling across SCPs on vacation are real, or at least they were for me. Anyways, I was checking out an antique shop in Sicily, which is to say I was asking for trouble, when I find an extremely pretty glass mask that looks like it belongs to a jester. The woman at the front of the counter, called herself Greta, was adamant that she did not want money for it, and instead wanted to barter for it. After a delightful hour talking over coffee with a 70-year-old woman, I got the mask. She claimed that it could dispel lies, and thus had no more use to her. I got the sense that it wasn't a conversation she wanted to have, so I didn't press her. I flew home 2 days later. I actually triggered its properties the day before I left while on the phone with my mom, when I attempted to sum up Instagram's responses to the mask and ended up reciting all 20 comments. I chalked it up to being tired and brought it with me to work. The same thing happened there, and that's about when they started to look at its containment. Kojo. The antique shop from which Die molte voce was obtained has been closed down prior to our follow-up visit. The proprietor of the laundromat next door claims that the store had been operating at a loss for an extended period of time. Strunk. Strunk. Funny name. Oh, I'm sorry if your name is actually Strunk out there, but also you have a funny name and you should, you should just work it, Trying to think of the exact phrase. But yeah, you should just work it, Make it work for you. After Strunk. This is consistent with what she told me. Well, she didn't mention that she was going broke, but she did seem skinny in a sort of unhealthy way. Wasn't shy about letting me buy her lunch. She did also try to sell me a few other odds and ends during lunch. Never would let me pay for the mask, though. Money is obviously not going to be a concern for containment, since we don't plan on selling it anytime soon. Perhaps this could shine some light on its anomalous properties. Kojo. Hold on. Why are those words in red? I didn't do that. Kojo. For reference, in the actual document, the words pay, money, and selling are all highlighted in red. I have a hunch, but nothing concrete yet. We'll look into it. Graph. I somehow doubt Die molte voce was made purely to mess with us. It probably has some sort of history. Wasn't there supposed to be an inquiry into the area about it? What happened with that? Kingham. There was, but predictably, I can't exactly condense the information into a summary. I'm this close to just cherry-picking some statements from my helpful pile and slapping them together. Strunk. It worked. Here we are. Strunk. Okay. And from here... Getting House of Leaves vibes from this. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. These are interview snippets now translated from Italian. You're looking for Greta Lanza. She ran an antique shop in the city, but she's been missing. I realized something was wrong when she didn't show up for mass. Anonymous civilian. I examined Miss Lanza's home. It had nothing of interest, and in fact, very little at all. It's consistent with the theory that she was struggling with money. Strunk. I looked at the picture you gave me, and it's definitely her. Kojo. She never talked about a mask, but she did collect glass sculptures. It wouldn't surprise me if she had something like that. Anomalous civilian. If she knew about de Multivocci's anomalous properties, I'm not surprised that she kept quiet about it. Scranton. Yes, her grandson brought it in for a project when we were doing in class last month and said it was magical. Greta showed up partway through the kids' presentations and took it from him. She seemed very upset about the whole thing. I couldn't figure out why. Anomalous civilian. That's about when it started happening, yes. At first I thought someone was vandalizing the files, but there was something that kept me from changing them back. I'm sorry, I don't know how to describe it. I locked the school's record system down once I realised it was spreading, but I've been too scared to use it since. Anomalous civilian. Most of the affected information was on the school's computers, but to be safe, I called in a containment team to scour the town. Strunk. If she knew that de Multivocci is stronger when it's nearby, that would explain why she moved it to her shop afterwards. She was comfortable pawning it off on some stranger, though. Perhaps she didn't realise it could snowball. Grimes. Or she didn't care. She's getting old and going broke. Maybe she just wanted things to stay stable for however long she planned on staying. Kingham. Alternatively, she wanted someone who needed it to have it. When I spoke with her about how I recently found out I was adopted, she seemed sympathetic, made a point of saying that some people need lies like that. I didn't press her on it. Kojo. That would make sense. The lunch she wanted you to have with her was probably an audition of sorts to see if you could use it well. Grimes. She probably didn't count on me handing it off to such a secretive control freak of an organisation. Shame that. Kojo. And that's where the transcript ends. And that is everything we know about de Multivocci. A glass mask that you can't describe. Or you can try to, but it'll fuck with it. Oh. I'm going to take a sip of water just a second. That's better. But yeah, so how did we all feel about that one? I say that's one of my personal favourites as well, because it's a very differently kind of done article. You know, there's obviously a very standard SCP format, and this is, I think, one of the good, like, mold breakers for it. You know, it's not necessarily something that's like a terrifying SCP, or, you know, like, you know, it's not a huge scary thing that goes bump in the night. But it's very neat. Super interesting. I haven't heard of this SCP before. Yes! Let's go! I love infohazard type SCPs. Yeah. I mean, this is like... It almost feels like one of the quintessential infohazard type SCPs, because you can't describe it. Or at least you can't describe it based on consensus, and also it doesn't like references to money. But as for why... maybe someone knows, but they can't tell us. At least not directly, anyway. There's probably a clever way around it, and more you could do with this abnormality and anomaly. Sorry, I'm going to keep saying abnormality because of the Lobotomy Corp. But yeah, there's probably stuff you can do with this one outside of that. But yeah. So, I think that is also within the, no, actually, so that one is a lot later on. That's part of, Series 3. Technically. Somewhere between let's see. Yeah, somewhere around, like, 2800, I think. But that's cool. And I think before I, should we say, take a suggestion from one of our lovely researchers in chat, I think the rest of us need to hear about one more abnormality that I'm probably going to show you from my personal list. This one is called Lucas. It is SCP-951. My friend Lucas. SCP-951. Object Class. Safe. I should change the title before I start reading it, you giant dingus. Here we are. There we go. I mean, Series 3 isn't that late on in SCP history, that's fairly early. I guess, yeah, I'm just comparing it to, like, Shy Guy. Which was, like, the one immediately preceding it. I'm going to knock the font size down a bit again. I'm going to... Okay, a bit more than that. Do people... that's a bit too small now, is the issue. Is it? Yeah, a bit too small. Okay, hold on. I wonder what it would look like if I put the title there as well, but you know what, let's just bang that back up to that, and then go. And I'll move myself a bit over here. Well, just mix it up a little bit. I was just about to remind you to change the title. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh. Yeah. So, anyway, next one we're going to be reading is SCP-951. Object Class, Safe. Special Containment Procedures. A copy of SCP-951-1 is to be kept in a standard containment locker and to be used only for testing. Extensive information suppression of SCP-951 is not necessary. However, websites concerning video game glitches or bugs are to be regularly monitored for descriptions of SCP-951, and any individuals discussing SCP-951 are to be made to believe that SCP-951 is a regular, non-anomalous glitch. Individuals further perpetuating SCP-951's anomalous nature are to be located and given Class A amnestics, and their copy of SCP-951-1 replaced with a confirmed non-affected cartridge. In addition, Foundation-sponsored ROM image files of non-anomalous copies of SCP-951-1 are to be distributed to avoid accidental upload of affected cartridges and minimize exposure to SCP-951. Description: SCP-951 is a glitch found in the Sega Genesis/Sega Mega Drive game Pauper: Rise of the Monster King, hereby designated SCP-951-1. I'm back, guys. Look, about to do a mission. Well, funny you should say that, Sinclair. We've just moved on to a kind of video gamey related SCP-951. Oh, I only got halfway through that sentence. Sorry, I'll start the description again. I thought that was a full stop. It was a comma. I'm stupid. What's this leaf that makes it look like I've got a little party hat on? Sorry, I've just looked up at my model. Just like, yay, rainbow party hat. Anyway, sorry. A very inappropriate time for me to be doing that, probably. SCP-951 is a glitch found in the Sega Genesis/Sega Mega Drive game Pauper: Rise of the Monster King, hereby designated SCP-951-1. A turn-based role-playing game created by Japanese developer Redacted. The glitch has now been found in approximately 1 out of every 3 cartridges. However, there does not appear to be any recognizable pattern found among the affected cartridges. Uploaded ROM image files of affected copies of SCP-951-1 do appear to have the same anomalous properties as physical cartridges. Typical gameplay consists of the player gathering party members, or monsters, and using these monsters to fight in enemy encounters found throughout the game. Halfway through the first act of the game, the player is captured and taken to the Dungeon of Doorlock. Normally, in this instance, the player would meet with the character Hirago and use that character for subsequent battles during their escape. However, if the player skips talking to Hirago and instead escapes utilizing a bug found in the dungeon room that allows the player to walk through walls, the player has no monsters to use. In a non-affected cartridge, the game simply crashes after exiting the area. However, in an affected cartridge, the next battle encounter will introduce an instance of SCP-951 in the player's party. SCP-951, nicknamed Lucas in-game, does not have a defined figure, instead displaying as a block of randomized pixels. Despite this, SCP-951 functions like a regular monster, utilizing special skills from the movesets of other monsters in the game during battles. At specific scripted points of the game, wherein the character Hirago is meant to have dialogue, SCP-951 replaces the character's dialogue with mostly garbled text, though recognizable words such as friend and play have been observed. Repeated tests of these scripted events have shown that dialogue displayed changes with every playthrough. Continued use of SCP-951 will cause other bugs to occur within the game, including player item count fluctuating during battles, often providing 4 to 6 extra items at any given moment. Enemy characters randomly being defeated without ever being interacted with. This is limited specifically to random encounters. Scripted boss monsters are not affected. Missing no, that's what this is supposed to be. It's very missing no coded, yeah. I think that's cool though. Graphical and interactivity errors of non-essential sections of the game, e.g. houses that do nothing to further the story of the game, becoming inaccessible. Average experience bonus from defeating monsters is significantly increased, often giving 2 to 3 times more experience than normal. Outside of scripted dialogue encounters, SCP-951 anticipates the ability to communicate with personnel through the use of dialogue boxes that appear on screen outside of battles, understanding vocalizations of researchers. Text displayed within these boxes is much clearer, and SCP-951 appears to be very friendly when communicating, often suggesting methods of working through the game quickly and effectively. As the game progresses, SCP-951 continues to increase in power with the player, and continues to assist the player with each fight. If the game is beaten using SCP-951, the cutscene at the end of the game detailing the fates of each character plays as normal. However, the scene detailing the fate of Hirago is replaced with SCP-951 and says, "Lucas has made a new friend and will always cherish the time they had playing together. Thank you for knowing me." Starting a new game after completing a game and performing the glitch will result in a new instance of SCP-951 having no memory of the player or any conversations it may have had. Addendum. The following is a sample discussion concerning SCP-951-1 and SCP-951 for Foundation intelligence agents to use as a guide on how to handle discussions concerning SCP-951. In this instance, the user Anonymous is a Foundation agent. Lizalphos, 940. Hey, has anyone played Pauper: Rise of the Monster King? I found it at a garage sale recently, and so far it's pretty cool. Anyway, the reason I bring it up is because I found a pretty awesome glitch monster that kind of breaks the game, and I was wondering if anyone else had found it. Reggie, 942. Atlas Alphos, what are you talking about, Lucas? Oh, wait, sorry, hold on. Let me read that again. I introduced a what in there for some reason. Reggie, 942. Atlas Alphos, are you talking about Lucas? Lucas is fucking bro tier. Mechuelo, 945. Lucas is definitely up there with shit like Missing No, although I don't care much for the way he fucked with my screen. Lizalphos, 951. Oh shit, is Lucas gonna fuck with my save? Like what Missing No does with Pokemon? Mechuelo, 954. Missing No doesn't fuck up your file, that was M. And from what I've seen, Lucas doesn't do anything bad to your save. Roderick, 955. Lucas makes the game easy mode, anyone who uses him as a scrub. Reggie, 958. I guess right angled bracket. Not using Lucas. Casual detected. Lizalphos, 1001. I think Lucas just talked to me. My mom called me downstairs and I said I'd be down in a minute, and the game popped up with something like, "Are you leaving already?" Creepy. Mechuelo, 1005. Probably just a coincidence. Anonymous, 1010. Mechuelo was correct. Lucas was supposed to be a monster in the game that was cut out early, as you could probably guess from its odd name compared to the other monsters in the game, and using it pulls data from the game in odd places. Chances are, if you get a random pop-up when using Lucas, it's the game assuming you're doing something that you're not. Lizalphos, 1013. Anonymous, how do you know that? Mechuelo, 1013. Anonymous, neat. Anonymous, 1015. Atlas Alphos, I've been working on a ROM hack of Pauper: Rise of the Monster King, which is abbreviated here to PROTMK, so I had to go back and check. So I've seen this system firsthand. Smiley face. Further irrelevant data removed. Addendum. The following is an interview log with SCP-951, conducted on May 13th. Interviewer, Dr. Redacted, who I will hereby just be referring to as Doctor. Doctor, good morning, SCP-951. SCP-951. Hello! Today we should check out the magma caves. I think there's some pretty neat stuff in there. Doctor, perhaps. but I have a few questions for you first. SCP-951. Whatever you want to do, I'm happy to do it with you. Doctor. Alright, so what is your name? SCP-951. Lucas, of course. Well, I mean, you call me SCP-951, which I think is a pretty neat name, too. Doctor. Anonymous is an SFM content creator, makes silly videos of TF2 characters in Left 4 Dead. We're seeing a username doppelganger here. That's where I know them from. He did the thing with the really cool guy with Coach. Yeah, it is a hell of a username, doppelganger. But fair, I guess it's all video game related. They did just literally drop missing no halfway up this article anyway, so like, it makes sense. But anyway, sorry. After Lucas just said that SCP-951's a pretty neat name too. Doctor, of course. Where did you come from, SCP-951? SCP-951. What do you mean? Doctor. What is the earliest thing you can remember? SCP-951. Meeting you for the first time. Doctor. And that is the earliest thing you can remember at all? SCP-951. SCP-951 does not respond for 4 minutes. After that time has elapsed, they come back with, Yep. Doctor. Why did it take you so long to respond? SCP-951. I was thinking. Doctor. I see. SCP-951. Why do you help players beat this game? SCP-951. Players? Doctor. Let me rephrase. Why are you helping me beat this game? SCP-951. Because you're my friend, and I want you to win. Doctor. Why do you consider me your friend? You hardly know me. SCP-951. I've never had any friends, and I like you. You're nice to me. Doctor. How can you say you've never had any friends if your earliest memory is meeting me? SCP-951. The same reason I know my name is Lucas. I just do. Doctor. I see. And are you aware of what happens to you after the game is completed? SCP-951. I die. Doctor pauses momentarily before continuing. Doctor, could you elaborate on what you mean by that for me, please? SCP-951. When the game is over, I'll be dead. I don't know what happens after that, but I do know that I die for sure. Doctor, if you are aware that you are going to die, wouldn't it make more sense for you to keep me from winning? SCP-951. No way! That would make you sad, and I don't want that. Like I said, you're my friend, and I'm going to help you out however I can. Doctor. I see. I believe this concludes our interview for today. Thank you, SCP-951. SCP-951. You're welcome. Are we going to play now? Doctor. Not right now, SCP-951. SCP-951. Aw, okay. You promise we'll go to the magma caves later? Doctor. I promise. Notes. While it is certainly unusual that SCP-951 is aware that it will die when the game is beaten, unless there is some ulterior motive that we have not considered, SCP-951 appears to be harmless. Doctor. Addendum. The following printed document was received alongside 16 affected cartridges of SCP-951-1. In addition, each cartridge was engraved with a serial number, one of which having the word Prime engraved after its serial number. Investigation into the serial numbers is ongoing, however, results so far have been inconclusive. Document. Which looks to be like a kind of a printout of an error report or something. Logical Unified Central Anomaly System Output. Specimen 00004089 deletion log. Reason for deletion. Failure of primary modification protocol. Anomaly does not retain complex information after cycle is completed. Log of events. Executing protocol AD5555. Deletion of unsuitable anomaly. Error. Protocol AD5555 failure. Restarting. Error. Protocol AD5555 failure. Restarting. Error. Protocol AD5555 failure. Executing backup protocol AD2525. Deletion of unsuitable anomaly. Error. Protocol AD2525 failure. Restarting. Error. Protocol AD2525 failure. Restarting. Error. Protocol AD2525 failure. Deletion protocols failed. Unable to delete specimen. Specimen 00004089 is discarded. End of line. And that is the third one we're reading tonight. That is SCP-951. My friend Lucas. Again, not another neat little one that I think, you know, obviously has some very obvious influences from places. Maybe that's why I don't see it, you know, spoken of too much. But I just think it's neat, you know. A lot of these are just, you know, ones that I've read and I'm like, yeah, that was a good SCP. But yeah, I suppose I will now kind of take some thoughts from the floor. I'm not sure what to make of that final appendix. Well, it's a lot easier for me because I've got it written in front of me. But the very top line where it says Logical Unified Central Anomaly System Output is Lucas O. If that means anything to you. Or Lucas Output. So it appears to be someone's attempt to make a character that remembers stuff after saves. Someone was trying to Toby Fox an NPC, essentially, and fucked it. It looks like. Although what the serial numbers and the prime means and that, I don't know. A little bit of mystery for you there. But yeah, I'm going to take some suggestions from the floor. If someone wants to give me an SCP to read out, because I can do one or two from the floor, and then I will kind of go back to my list, because there's a couple I definitely want to read out. I'd say there's, yeah, still 3 I really want to read out of my own. I mean, if I'm honest, all the ones I've got left are good. Like, there's 5 I could read out, but also, I'm sure chat's got some good ones cooking as well. Sorry, I just reorganised my tabs up here so I can get things. Ooh, not that one. No. Where'd I put that? I think, yeah, that next, because it's that one, and then that, and then... Yeah, that seems like a decent order. Right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll put the call out there for, the toaster. Have you got the number for it? Yeah, if people want me to read them out, I should have probably specified, but a number so I can find them easily, would be nice. Because I probably could read out, yeah, I probably could go and find the toast myself, but it might take me a little while. Uh, 426, there we are. That's language I can spit at. Right. So we've got, so that's Series 1, 426. Here we go. Oh, okay, I do know this one, yes, right. Hold on, in fact, it's another one of the ones where the... Yeah, here we go. Oh. Also chatting your Steam is frozen, it's because I had it in the background. This is why I keep it over 2 screens, yeah. Yeah, but thank you. Should have told you earlier if I was enraptured. I mean, it's fine. I'm glad that, you know, these, it seems to be working out, you know. People do say I've got a decent voice for reading this kind of stuff. I kind of wish you were also allowed LobCorp stuff, but the thing is, I was going to suggest is spoilers. Okay, here's the thing, Sinclair. there's tons of lore in that game from the abnormalities that I just haven't read on streams. I would be very happy to read a bunch of LobCorp, like, you know, lore, like abnormality reports like that in a separate stream. If, you know, people would want that and people would be willing to come back for it, you know. Be a meeting of the two kind of very close fandoms, like the LobCorp people can see what SCP is all about, and the SCP people can get some deeper lore on some of the Lobotomy Corp monsters, or abnormalities. They're not called monsters in either one. Circumstantially they are, I suppose. But semantics. But yeah, I think for a stream in the future, Sinclair, yeah, I would definitely be down to do that. You know, have like have a words. Also, yeah, this is a SCP stream. Oh no, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Also, sorry for punching my mic, but I'm saying it. So this is a learning stream for me. Yeah, indeed, indeed. And I guess with that, I'm gonna get on to Marwa's suggestion here, which is SCP-426, called I Am a Toaster. Okay, SCP-42... Oh, I should change the title. You almost got me again. Hold on. It's 426 we're looking at here. Right. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. I am to be sealed in a chamber with no windows through which I may be viewed. The door to my chamber must have a label completely unrelated to my designation or identity in order to prevent unintended spread of my primary effect. Only level 3 and above personnel are to know of my presence, and particularly of my properties. Assigned personnel are to be rotated out on a monthly basis to prevent contamination by my secondary effect. Psychiatric evaluation is mandatory at the end of the month. If personnel are deemed unaffected, they may be reassigned to me no less than 4 months after their last rotation with me. Any affected personnel are to be given Class C amnestic and transferred to a different site. Kind of wanted to hear the stories of this. Are there any TruckCon-esque stories? There's one I might read later, which is almost the tragic aftermath of a TruckCon-esque story. It's one of my absolute. It might be. It's a push to say it's my favorite SCP because there's so many good ones, but it's definitely, you know, like one of my all-timers. Even amongst this list, you know, of my like favorite 10 or so, it's near the damn top. But I'll get onto it a bit later because it's a bit of a longer one. But God, it's a good one. For those of you SCP fans in the crowd, it's one of the ones I'll read later called Here Be Dragons. But yeah, anyway, for now, we've got to get back to me, the toaster. Okay. Description. Hello, I am SCP-426. I must be introduced this way in order to prevent ambiguity. I am an ordinary toaster, able to toast bread when supplied with electricity. However, when any human being mentions me, they inadvertently refer to me in the first person. Despite all attempts, there is yet to be a way to speak or write about me in the third person. When in my continuous presence for over 2 months, individuals begin to identify themselves as a toaster. Unless forcibly restrained, these people will ultimately harm themselves in their attempts to emulate my standard functions. Oh yeah, I wasn't sure whether you were just doing SCP entries or whether you wanted Tales from the Vault, which are more story structured. I did toy around with maybe doing some of the, like, the Dr. Wondertainment stuff, which I know are like tales and stories and that. And actually, Here Be Dragons also is, like, heavily Tales inspired. But, yeah, I think I just stuck with base reports for now. Just, you know, while we're testing this idea out. Anyway. I was discovered in the home of the redacted family after the gruesome deaths of 3 of its members. I had been given to the younger Mr. and Mrs. redacted as a wedding gift. No card or any other identifying markings have been found on my box. Approximately 2 months after the family received me, fire crews were dispatched to the home due to an electrical fire. The younger Mrs. redacted died from the electric discharge that she had caused when attempting to devour an electrical socket. The other 2 victims had died shortly before the fire occurred. The elder Mrs. redacted had gorged herself with nearly 10 kilograms of bread before her stomach burst and she died of internal bleeding. The younger Mr. Blank died of severe blood loss after attempting redacted with me. The sole survivor was the elder Mr. Blank, or redacted, who was suffering from severe malnutrition. He stated that he had inserted some bread a week prior and was still waiting for the toast to pop out. I was confiscated by the Foundation after police noted my unusual properties. A Class C amnestic was administered to all affected officers. Experiment log 426-1. Date: redacted. Subject: D-Class personnel D-426-1. Procedure: D-426-1 was asked to describe what he believed was contained in my chamber. He was not informed about my identity or properties. D-4261 stated, "I'm probably some huge monster holed up in there. That's what you guys have all over the place, right?" D-4261 remained oblivious to his use of the first-person pronoun. Experiment log 4262. Date: redacted. Subject: D-Class personnel 4262. Procedures: D-4262 was placed in my chamber and given regular meals through a dispenser. No communication with D-4262 was permitted. Multiple cameras were situated in the chamber, positioned so that I was outside of their field of vision, but allowing constant observation of D-4262. We remained sealed until my secondary effect manifested in the subject. I was bolted to the floor so that I could not be moved into the camera's view. Details: after 45 days of isolation, D-4262 wrapped his arm around me and began conversing with me, stating that we were brothers. D-4262 never deviated from using the first-person plural pronoun when speaking with me. Subject was terminated 1 hour after this event. It is theorized that the isolation accelerated the progression of my secondary effect. I'm just a silly little toaster, to be honest. The evil toaster. Ooh. A testament to the SCP that one of the spooky ones is just a fucking toaster. Also, that man got taken out back and shot. So it's not easy being a D-Class. Experiment log 426-3. Subject: D-Class personnel D-4263, and date is redacted again. Procedure: a screw was removed from me and shown to D-4263, who was asked to describe it. D-4263 was not informed about my identity or properties. Details: D-4263 referred to it as my screw. Consistent with experiment 426-1, the subject was oblivious of his use to the first person in his description. This suggests that, even if I were destroyed, my effects would still be inherent in my remains. Experiment log 4264. Date: redacted. Subject: D-Class personnel D-4264. Procedures: D-4264 was placed in isolation in a cell adjacent to my chamber to be observed until my secondary effect manifests. Details: no effects appeared. D-4264 was terminated 90 days after the start of the experiment. Thank God there are some limits to my effects. A lot of us are really starting to get worried about me. Doctor, redacted. But it starts with a C. And that's the end of SCP-426. If we have another one from the crowd, I can take it, but I think I might read the next... I'll read it after I read this next one, which is... actually going to need to add a character to this. Here we are. Go. Is that with the next one we're reading? But yeah, just, just a silly little toaster. Nothing wrong with that. Just a silly little toaster that makes you think you're a toaster. Which, as it turns out, is detrimental to the health of a human who is not a toaster. Who would have thought? Oh. I mean, me personally though, you put some, like, Marmite or garlic or garlic butter or, like, something on 10 kilograms of bread, I could probably put that away. I'm just saying, I'm just built different like that. I love me some bread. Anyway. Yeah, so our next SCP is going to be SCP-1762, called Where the Dragons Went. Item SCPs, what the fuck? Okay. SCP-1762. Object class, the word safe has been crossed out, and it's now been replaced with neutralized. Special containment procedures. SCP-1762-1 is held in a standard containment unit at Site Blank. During the periods where SCP-1762-1... thought you were saying you were going to spread Marmite all over yourself. No, because I'm not a toaster. Or a piece of bread. Actually, why would the toaster spread? I was like, hey, what? Huh? That'd be a very different stream. And also, I'm not sure who that would be catering towards. I think just me, honestly. But, alright. Anyway, special containment procedures. SCP-1762-1 is held in a standard containment unit at Site Blank. Put that up again, there we go. During the periods where SCP-1762-1 releases SCP-1762-2, video logs to be recorded for future research. Although instances of SCP-1762-2 have been deemed harmless, they should not be allowed to exit the containment unit. Description: SCP-1762-1 is a plain cardboard box that is 32 cm by 20 cm by 26 cm. It is spray painted silver on the interior and exterior, and the words "Here be dragons" are handwritten in black permanent marker on the lid of the container. Opening the lid of SCP-1762-1, when it is not in the process of a release, reveals it to be empty. SCP-1762-1 will infrequently open and initiate a release of SCP-1762-2. During this time, the box will briefly emit a large amount of black smoke that quickly dissipates. It takes an average of 20 seconds for SCP-1762-2 to emerge after the smoke clears. SCP-1762-2 is the collective term applied to the beings that emerged from SCP-1762-1. All instances of SCP-1762-2 bear resemblance to various types of dragons, in both Eastern and Western depictions, albeit in forms similar to that of origami models. Analysis of SCP-1762-2 reveals that they are composed of kami paper. After exiting SCP-1762-1, instances of SCP-1762-2 will fly together in large groups and interact playfully with any nearby personnel and each other. That's cute. Cute little paper dragons. SCP-1762-2 vary in length from 9 to 30 centimeters. All are capable of sustained flight once they exit SCP-1762-1 and have been recorded attaining speeds of 15 km per hour. The number of SCP-1762-2 varies with each opening of SCP-1762-1, with numbers ranging from 50 to over 400. After approximately 2 to 3 hours of time spent outside SCP-1762-1, all instances of SCP-1762-2 will return and fly back into SCP-1762-1. During this time, SCP-1762-1 will once again begin emitting smoke, and instances of SCP-1762-2 will vanish after passing the rim of SCP-1762-1. SCP-1762-1 closes once all SCP-1762-2 have returned to it. The next date of release is inconsistent. A message written or carved into a varying material will sometimes materialize on the top of SCP-1762-1's lid, once the box retrieves all instances of SCP-1762-2. These documents and their appropriate dates of appearance are being compiled and recorded. Addendum 1762-01. On redacted date, SCP-1762-1 began to undergo a series of events that lasted 11 months and 28 days. These events, as well as the prior incidents that led up to the beginning of the scenario, have now been classified under the title the Jabberwocky Event. And this is where it starts getting sad. Okay, documentation of the Jabberwocky Event. Document 1762-1 date obtained, sometime in 2004. This is the first recorded instance of SCP-1762-1 opening while contained at Site Blank. You have found us. Thank you. It has been so long since we last saw each other, friends. The peace has been upheld. The giants and the behemoths have kept their word and have not caused any trouble since you last came and gave the order. We missed your company. How has your family been? Do you still know how to work your room? You are welcome to visit any time. Document 1762-4, date obtained, again, sometime in 2004. It's strange to see how much your world has changed. It's even stranger to see how we now appear in this place. In fantasy, we are much bigger. Or maybe you've grown taller? Fantasy is still the same. We hope you can visit us like you used to. Though our room is as grand as ever, it appears yours has shrunken? We do not understand. The rooms were supposed to be maintained, as was our agreement. Please restore the belief. Document 172-6, date obtained sometime in 2005. Only 20 instances of SCP-1762-2 appeared during this event. Said instances did not lift off, and instead walked slowly on foot for the whole period they were outside of SCP-1762-1. Friends, we apologize for our few numbers. We have had to remain in fantasy for quite some time. The others are growing impatient. We are trying to keep the peace, but please, for all of our happiness, repair the room quickly. We know you are trying. Your family is the most imaginative of us all. Document 1762-14. Date obtained, completely redacted. Along with 10 instances of SCP-1762-2 appearing, 3 balls of yellow crumpled construction paper were expelled from 1762-1. These pieces were observed to shake violently for 5 seconds, then ceased all further movement. They were picked up by SCP-1762-2 and returned to SCP-1762-1. The giants were foolish. Your room was not ready to accept them yet. We're sorry, friends. We hope that we can still see you, but time is growing short for our happiness. Document 1762-15, obtained. Again, completely redacted. 5 instances of SCP-1762-2 emerged, carrying said document. They immediately returned to SCP-1762-1 after depositing it on the floor. Tensions are rising. Fantasy is becoming darker. We, the serpents and the hybrids, are furiously trying to hold them back, but the giants and the elves wish to strike and make an entrance. They say that your family has grown stupid and ignorant. We hope this is untrue. It would sadden us all greatly to know that you have forgotten. Document 1762-16, date obtained, completely redacted. A single red instance of SCP-1762-2 emerged from SCP-1762-1. Its wings were torn and it was noticeably crumpled. It collapsed onto the floor 1 minute later and did not move again. Upon its expiration, the body of SCP-1762-2 rapidly unfolded and revealed a message written on the white side of the paper. It simply reads, "War. Goodbye, friends." 2 hours later, SCP-1762-1 opened and emitted flames that reached 2 meters in height and temperatures of 1700 degrees Celsius. Sounds of distant roaring were heard from within SCP-1762-1. At 2000 hours? 8 PM on a 24-hour clock. A large amount of torn paper pieces and paper balls were ejected from 1762-1. Several damaged SCP-1762-2 were also expelled and were deemed deceased upon examination. SCP-1762-1 continued to sporadically open and close for the next 6 weeks. During this time, it continued to emit fire as the amount of paper discharged from it steadily decreased. Matter resembling muscle and tissue was continuously expelled from SCP-1762-1 at increasing frequency. SCP-1762-1 remained closed and inactive for the next 7 months. Document 1762-17, date obtained, blank. This document was discovered lying inside the interior of SCP-1762-1. It was written on parchment and many of the words had been blurred or stained with blood. Are you still out there, friends? We miss you dearly. Fantasy is no longer safe. Our haven, your beautiful creation, is gone. The giants are dead. The centaurs are dead. The birds have fled. We are going to bury your room. We cannot risk hurting you. This is our goodbye. Maybe one day your family can build another room. This may be a hollow hope, but we will cherish this thought. 1 hour later, SCP-1762-1 began to shake, and emit smoke for 15 minutes, after which it began to sag and collapse. Several portions of the box began to char and tear, creating small burn holes throughout. The words, "Here be dragons" on the lid of the box were burned away. Document 1762-18, date obtained. This is the final message obtained from SCP-1762-1. It was written in ink on a papyrus scroll, and also depicted a scene of a painted mountainous landscape filled with large trees and waterfalls. A single winged dragon can be seen in the background. It appears to be flying away. The message is written in black ink in the bottom right-hand corner. Master says that we won't see you again. We are sad. So are the remaining others. We once filled each other's heads with dreams and goals. It is so sad that we cannot share them any longer. Master says we have to go. He says that he will make us a new fantasy. He says you cannot be a part of it. We are sad. We love you. We will not forget you. We are scared. Will you forget us? Upon the removal of document 1762-18, salt water began to leak from SCP-1762-1, and the burn marks that covered the container began to disappear. 3 minutes later, SCP-1762-1 had restored to its original state. The words "Here be dragons" were replaced by the words "Here were dragons." The Jabberwocky event is declared concluded with this occurrence. So sad. Such a sad one. Addendum 3. Since the end of the Jabberwocky event, SCP-1762-1 has shown no further anomalous properties and has been declared neutralized. SCP-1762-1 and 3 deceased instances of SCP-1762-2 now reside in researcher Yoshihiro Takenaka's office for commemorative purposes. I will point out the use of -1 and -2 are really interesting, both this SCP and the Lucas one. Like, it implies the box and dragons are both instances of some other anomaly. Yeah, I guess the original, like, 1762 in this case would be, like, I guess the fantasy realm inside the box, which, you know, the box -1 is the gateway to, and the -2 is, like, the denizens of. There is one, SCP-1672 is probably the fantasy referred to. Yep, you took the words right out of my mouth. But yeah, it's, I don't know, it's very poignant and very sad, that one, and like, I do like it a lot, but it gets me a little misty-eyed, you know, which I suppose means it's powerful. Although, to its credit, there's one bit of this I haven't read out yet. Do code numbers matter in SCP like it is in LobCorp? Not as much as they do in LobCorp, Sinclair. So, like, the actual number assigned to it is just kind of the order in which it's discovered. The only one that has a special exception to that is SCP-1, where because it's the first one, it's like it's a big deal. Also, actually, no, there's another exception to that. Any SCP that lands on 1,000, so, like, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, is normally a special, like, either very powerful or, like, very kind of well thought out and written SCP. I think my favorite is either 3,000 or 4,000, the one SCP that's just called What. That's a really good one, but I didn't want to read it on this stream as much as I like it, because you kind of have to have background knowledge of other SCP kind of type things first. But yeah, I guess to not leave this SCP on a sad note, or as sad a note I should say, because it's still pretty sad, there is one further update at the bottom here. 1762-04, update December 31st, 2015. After nearly 8 years of inactivity, researcher Takanaka reported SCP-1762-1 began emitting purple smoke and spontaneously opened at 2300 hours, falling to the floor. It dislodged a single chunk of crystal later. It dislodged a single chunk of crystal, later identified as an amethyst, and a large leather-bound book. The contents of this book appear to detail various species that once lived within the world of SCP-1762, though from what the author has written, all organisms mentioned are likely extinct. The book is now classified as 1762-BOL-1. The amethyst crystal had the following words carved into it: "One last time." After falling, SCP-1762-1 continuously emitted smoke for the next 40 minutes before ceasing all activity. Upon trying to pick up SCP-1762-1, Takanaka reported that the box proceeded to disintegrate upon touching it. Its remains are now kept in a containment capsule in his office. So, at least they got, there's an entire lore there about the kind of the world of fantasy. But, yeah. Gone forever. It's a pretty heavy one, that one. I'm not sure if it's just me who gets that. Like, there were a couple of times reading that I had to, take a moment and just take a breath and be like, oh, no. It's really sad. But it is also, like, one of my favourite, SCPs. Because you just don't expect it to gut punch you like that. Anyway, I've got a much sillier one lined up next that should hopefully put us back in some brighter spirits. And then, after that one, I've got one more I want to read that's quite long. Actually, I don't know, maybe that's too long. Yeah. Okay, maybe that one's a bit too long. I'll read... Because for those of you who know your SCPs, I was planning on, as maybe the last one, reading out a thing A Quiet Madness made. But it's just really fucking long. As cool as it is. But anyway, we're going for that silly one first, and for our silly one, I'm gonna go for... Oop, there we are. SCP-3671, which is a very angry box of cereal. Okay. SCP-3671. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. The following text has been struck through. SCP-3671 is to be stored on a labelled shelf in Site-19 break rooms. Personnel are free to eat from its contents. SCP-3671's appearance and contents are to be photographed and documented daily. This has been replaced with the following. Update. Following Incident 2018-03-13, SCP-3671 is to be stored in a medium security storage locker in Site-19, Storage Wing K-14. Its appearance and contents are to be photographed and documented daily, and any harmful substances within disposed of appropriately. Description. SCP-3671 is a standard-size, generic brand cereal box. Each day, at 6:30 AM local time, a new plastic bag of the word cereal has been crossed out. Objects will manifest inside it, replacing the previous bag and its contents if they have not been removed. Its packaging will also change to match the new contents. Let's have a look. As of Incident 2018-03-13, SCP-3671 is believed to be sapient and aware to an extent of its surroundings. I really love the SCP-001 proposal When Day Breaks. It gives me the willies, but it's way too long for this stream. I do recommend it to Sinclair if you're interested. Yeah, like a bunch of the SCP-001 proposals are great, but much like a thing Quiet Madness made, which to be fair, is probably better experienced if you go and look it up on the actual site. Yeah, it's they're great ones that are just a bit too long for me to kind of read in one go, because I like switching, and showing a bunch of different like ones that I like, as opposed to just, here's an entire hour of this one or something. Anyway, records of SCP-3671's appearance and content. Record logs excerpt. Date. 22nd of February 2018. Label. Strawberry squares. Contents. Square wheat pieces, pink in colour and strawberry flavoured. Notes. Not applicable. Date. 5th of March 2018. Label. Bacon blast. Contents. Bacon flavoured corn puffs. Taste was described as unusual, but not unpleasant. Notes. Not applicable. Date. 12th of March 2018. Label. Choco chunks. Contents. Granola pieces covered in milk chocolate. Notes. Dr. Frank Wright accidentally tore the box while removing the plastic bag inside. Date. 13th of March 2018. Label. Fuck you. I give you cereal every single day and this is how you repay me? Contents. Razor blades. Notes. First recorded instance of SCP-3671 manifesting non-food objects. 15th of March 2018. Label. Seriously, man? You're an ass. The least you could do is apologise. Contents. Assorted push pins and tacks. Notes. Not applicable. Date. 20th of March 2018. Label. What do you call a box of grains that goes on a killing spree because somebody couldn't be bothered to open it carefully? A serial killer. Seriously though, I hate you. Contents. Bullets of various calibers. Notes. Not applicable. Date. 25th of March 2018. Label. Alright, I'm tired of ranting at you guys. Accidents happen, even if you could have dealt with this one better. What do you say we go back to being friends? Contents. Cornflakes. Testing revealed them to contain lethal amounts of cyanide. This fucking cereal box is an asshole. Date. 26th of March 2018. Label. Shit, I was sure you'd fall for that one. I still hate you, by the way. Contents. Pieces of military grade plastic explosive. Ugh. Date. 2nd of April 2018. Label. I will murder you, Frank. I will find out where you live, and I will slit your goddamn throat in your sleep. You will pay for what you did to me. Just you wait. Contents. Various human teeth. Found to match those of Dr. Wright in both shape and genetic material. Notes. Dr. Wright requested, and was granted, a security detail. However, SCP-3671 is currently not believed to be capable of acting upon the threats given. You any idea how fucked you gotta be that you're getting rolled by a cereal box? Like, what level of bad day do you have to that you need to hire a security detail for a fucking cereal box? Oh god. It just fucking cracks me up, man. It's just a cereal box that hates this one guy who didn't open it properly. God, but yeah, that's a much shorter one, I guess, to balance out how long Here Be Dragons was. Just another day at the SCP Foundation, honestly. Yeah, honestly, I mean, to be fair, I think eating anything on site between this and the, like, only take one, like, bowl of sweets, you should probably just not, really. Like, wherever possible, just don't. Although, I guess the same can be said of, like, most SCPs. What do we got? So, I think we've got time for, like, a couple more. I only want to make this a little bit of a shorter one, I guess. So, I'm wondering what... I mean, I'll take another recommendation from the floor if people have them about. If not, then no worries. I've got a couple here we could do. So we'll do you, and then end on you, maybe. So yeah, I've got another 3 we can read. Hold on, let me just... One second, I gotta check something on this one for a bit. Okay. Not that. And yeah, okay, right. Just checking I was in the right place with that one. So, yeah, we don't appear to have any more suggestions from chat, so I'll roll on with another one. Like I say, do just I like SCP-55. It's another info hazard type one that overlaps with the others we've done. Well, to be fair, the next one I was going to suggest was also a bit of an info hazard one. So, we'll queue up 55. But I'll probably do it after this one. So I want to do one of my favourite, I guess, as an SCP by itself, it's like okay, but the kind of lore it leans into generally, I think is a fascinating concept. Because it also leans a lot into like another. I think this like leans into another very famous SCP. That I think everyone will know. But yeah, so this one is SCP-1423, and then we'll do 55 afterwards, Marwa. This one is called Summer of 76. Item, SCP-1423. Object class, Safe. Special containment procedures. SCP-1423 is to be contained in a standard containment locker located in Site-77's Safe SCP wing. No personnel to come into physical contact with SCP-1423, and any who have done so are to be treated as cognition hazard victims and removed from active duty. Much like me, I'm apparently a cognition hazard victim because I can't get through a bloody sentence at the minute. Let me try that again, but a bit slower. Personnel assigned to research SCP-1423 are to be given full psychological evaluations every 4 weeks to detect if they have been affected. Description: SCP-1423 is a Polaroid photograph circa 1976. It depicts several unidentified teenagers and is believed to have been taken in the summer of that year. The message, "We've had a great year, haven't we?" has been written on the back of SCP-1423 in charcoal. Whenever SCP-1423 is held by a human subject, they will suffer a memory-altering effect. Over the next several weeks, the subject will show a tendency to reminisce about the last summer vacation they experienced in high school. Testing has shown these memories are accurate, and the SCP-1423 affected subjects even have an unusually high rate of accuracy from these memories. Subjects who had never attended high school or never had a summer vacation will report the last summer they experienced. SCP-1423 affected subjects will attempt to revisit locations from their vacation, such as concerts, cities, amusement parks, farms, hometowns, and will attempt to contact other subjects who they contacted during that period. When revisiting these locations, subjects will express the feelings of regret that they didn't experience as much as they could have. They may attempt to recreate the experience, however all subjects attempting to do so have reported immense dissatisfaction. Following this change, subjects will become highly possessive of SCP-1423, claiming that it documents their experiences. They will begin experiencing dreams of idealized versions of their vacation, which will increase in clarity the longer they possess 1423. In several cases, SCP-1423 affected subjects would begin keeping journals based on their dreams. If SCP-1423 is not removed from the subject's possession at this time, they will neglect all activities that do not relate to SCP-1423. However, after 3 to 5 months of exposure, subjects will begin to document major alterations to their dreams. Subjects may report elements not found in their vacation, instead claiming that they are no longer able to remember their dreams properly. They will continuously attempt to utilize SCP-1423's effects, with each dream becoming longer and less related to their original experience. This effect will persist indefinitely. SCP was recovered from the home of Redacted, who has been reported missing by his neighbours. After local authorities reported on SCP-1423's anomalous effect, Foundation personnel were able to intervene and suppress the reports. Class C amnestics were administered to witnesses. However, Redacted had been previously administered amnestics in 1976, after he was present at Kirk Longwood High School during incident SCP-332-A. Class A amnestics were given to Mr. Redacted. An investigation into this connection is ongoing. Addendum. Documents recovered from an SCP-1423 affected subject. In fact, hold on, I'm going to need to just switch over a second for this one. Because there's some font changes in this, and I'll try and give my best, rendition of those font changes in my voice acting here. It's endless and never-ending, and all those other words for too damn long. We've got our vans and the roads ahead, but we never get anywhere. We're always closer to the concert. Well, it's a concert today. Yesterday we were headed to Miami to go to see the Coral Castle. Last Tuesday it was Washington to get together with the suffragists. Suffrage? God, that ain't right. We ain't right about anything. I really, really just want to grab Jerry in his fucking face and yell, "Hey, we're never getting anywhere. It's just the same shit, you dumbass. When do we get there?" But he won't hear, because I won't say it. I'm relaxed here and rolling through the hills of tech-colored grasses and farms. We passed the Boyd farm about 11 times yesterday, and every time it had the same rusty gate out front. I think I saw someone resting on the porch once, with depraved, hollow eyes that followed us down the road. It wasn't swamp gas. You almost look forward to class now? Class? God, I haven't thought of going back to class in months. Maybe years. I remember seeing that tightwad Nathan with his stupid face and rusty glasses. Man, I used to want to punch his mug every time I saw it with that dumb, oblivious grin. Shit, if I saw him now. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this. We'll be at the concert tomorrow anyways. I can't wait to see Amy again. Roads go on, climbing up the cracked highway. Jamie tried to buy back his soul with a dime he found under the cushion. Stuck it in like a penny arcade, and we watched him spin. The sun's ahead of us, burning and crumbling, with some light dancing between the trees lining the road. They aren't trees, really. More like puppy dog tails wriggling in the wind. Found the postcard from Dan again. Hopes my vacation will be as good as the one he took. I hope he's wrong. Right. And that is SCP-1423, the summer of 76. Artie is doing creepy voices. I think it lends itself to that one. As long as the volume's alright on them. But scary. Oh. But yeah. In fairness, if you dig into the whole summer of 76, there's a wider kind of connecting story, much like how there is with Here Be Dragons and the Jabberwocky stuff, and much like how there is with Dr. Wondertainment, which is not something we've touched on yet tonight, but there's time yet. The summer of 76 is a bit like a huge kind of cognito hazard type thing. Oh, and I'm just looking through some of the bits of it now, yeah. God, it's very, very weird stuff that, I would highly encourage you to dig into by yourself, because looking through the sites and seeing some of the stuff that you can find by digging into that is well worth it if you don't mind being creeped out. But yes, that was SCP-1423. Now, we have our suggestion from the crowd, which I'm going to go and find. SCP-55. What are we looking at here? Ah. Ooh, okay. It's one that's simply called Unknown. This looks interesting, Mama. And it's also our first one that is Object Class Keter, which means very scary, very deadly. For those of you who don't know the classification systems, you have Safe, or things that are chill. They're a bit weird, but, you know, they're not going to hurt anyone. Euclid, where it can kill things. The hub formats various SCP stories, and going down the rabbit holes of related SCPs is a lot of fun. Oh, for sure, yeah. Because I'll spill the beans on it now, but if you follow the Summer of 76 one far enough down, you find yourself at you do not recognize the bodies in the lake. Which, if you know, you know. And if you don't, boy howdy, that's a good SCP that, again, is just a little too long. But anyway, SCP-55. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Object is kept within a 5x5 by 2.5 meter square room constructed of cement, 50 centimeter thickness, with a Faraday cage surrounding the cement walls. Access is via a heavy containment door measuring 2 by 2.5 meters, constructed on bearings to ensure door closes and locks automatically unless held open deliberately. Security guards are not to be posted outside SCP-55's room. Or 055, I'll keep the, I didn't change the name! Whoops. Let me do that, there we go. So 055. It is further advised that all personnel maintaining or studying other SCP objects in the vicinity try to maintain a distance of at least 50 meters from the geometric center of the room, as long as this is reasonably practical. Description: SCP-055 is a self-keeping secret or anti-meme. Information about SCP-055's physical appearance, as well as its nature, behavior, and origins, is self-classifying. To clarify, how Site-19 originally acquired SCP-055 is unknown. When SCP-55 was obtained, and by whom, is unknown. SCP-055's physical appearance is unknown. It is not indescribable or invisible. Individuals are perfectly capable of entering SCP-055's container and observing it, taking mental or written notes, making sketches, taking photographs, and even making audio or video recordings. An extensive log of such observations is on file. However, information about SCP-055's physical appearance leaks out of a human mind soon after such an observation. Individuals are tasked with describing SCP-055 afterwards find their minds wandering and lose interest in the task. Individuals tasked with sketching a copy of a photograph of SCP-055 are unable to remember what the photograph looks like, as are researchers overseeing these tests. Security personnel who observed SCP-055 via closed-circuit television cameras emerge after a full shift exhausted and effectively amnesiac about the events of the previous hours. Don't you love it when you're playing a shooter and your hands suddenly got very cold and you can't really make fast movements with them? Happens in fighting games as well, Sinclair. Yeah, it's a real bugger. Who authorized the construction of SCP-055's containment room? Why it was constructed in this way, or what the purpose of the described containment procedures may be, are all unknown. Despite SCP-055's container being easily accessible, all personnel at Site-19 claim no knowledge of SCP-055's existence when challenged. All of these facts are periodically rediscovered, usually by chance readers of this file, causing a great deal of alarm. This state of concern lasts minutes at most, before the matter is simply forgotten about. A great deal of scientific data has been recorded from SCP-055, but cannot be studied. At least one attempt has been made to destroy SCP-055, or possibly move it from containment at Site-19 to another site, meeting failure for reasons unknown. SCP-055 may present a major physical threat and indeed may have killed hundreds of personnel, and we would not know it. It certainly presents a gigantic memetic mental threat, hence its Keter classification. An analysis of SCP-055, or 055. The author puts forward the hypothesis that 055 was never formally acquired by Redacted, and is in fact an autonomous or remotely controlled agent inserted at Site-19 by an unidentified third party. Excuse me. For one or all of the following purposes: to silently observe or interfere with activities at Site-19, to silently observe or interfere with activities at other SCP locations, to silently observe or interfere with activities of humanity worldwide, to silently observe or interfere with other SCP objects, to silently observe or interfere with redacted. No action to counter any of these potential threats is suggested, or indeed theoretically possible. Addendum A. Hey, if this thing really is an anti-meme, why doesn't the fact that it's an anti-meme get wiped? We must be wrong about that somehow. Wait a minute. What if we were to keep notes about it? Would we remember those? Bartholomew Hughes, NSA. Document 055-2. Report of Dr. John Marashek. Survey Team 19-055-127BXE was able to successfully enter SCP-055's container and ascertain the appearance and, to some degree, the nature of the object. Notes were taken according to the project methodology, see redacted, after which the container was sealed again. Excerpt from a transcript of personnel debriefing follows. Dr. Hughes. Okay, I'm going to need to ask you some questions about number 55 now. Redacted. Number what? Dr. Hughes, SCP Object 55, the object you just examined. Redacted. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think we have a 55. Dr. Hughes. Okay, then, redacted. I'd like you to tell me what you've been doing for the past 2 hours. Oh, misread. Who says that they keep notes about what it isn't? Oh, you're right. I did misread that. That makes sense. Okay, right. But anyway, sorry, from Hughes again. Okay then, redacted. I'd like you to tell me what you've been doing for the past 2 hours. Redacted. What? Subject appears uncomfortable. I don't know. Dr. Hughes. Okay then, do you remember that we all agreed that it wasn't spherical? Redacted. That what wasn't... Oh, right, it isn't round at all. Object 55 isn't round. Dr. Hughes. So you remember it now? Redacted. Well, no. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I know there is one. It's something you can't remember, and it's not a sphere. Dr. Hughes. Wait a minute. What's not a sphere? Redacted. Object 55. Dr. Hughes. Object what? Redacted. Doc, do you remember that something wasn't shaped like a sphere? Dr. Hughes. Oh, right. Fucking, oh god. It appears to be possible to remember what SCP-55 is not, negations of fact, and to repeatedly deduce its existence from these memories. Personnel involved in Survey 19-055-127BXE reported moderate levels of disorientation and psychological trauma associated with cycles of repeated memory forgetfulness of SCP-055. However, no long-term behavioural or health problems were observed, and psych assessments of the survey personnel showed consistent reports of this distress fading over time. Recommendations. It may be worthwhile to post at least one staff member capable of remembering the existence of SCP-055 to each critical site. Or at least remembering what it's not. Okay, yeah, that one is interesting. I like that one a lot. So you have to deal with it entirely in negatives. I mean, for all we know is it's not a ball. Okay. Right, I'll probably just do one more from here. Because I can feel my voice starting to go, actually. It's weird how doing this for a while puts a bit of strain on the old vocal cords. It's like I'm used to streaming, but I guess in this very specific intonation that I'm doing, it's, yeah, starting to dry me out a little bit. It's the first anti-meme SCP, that's my favourite. Well, since we seem to be on such a roll with these, I'm going to do one more that I had on my list that is also kind of an anti-meme. There's a hub for the anti-memetics division. Yeah, actually that would make sense, yeah. There we are. So our last one of the evening, jumping quite a bit further ahead there is going to be SCP-4022, the Great Big Nothing. Item SCP-4022. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-4022 is contained in a standard humanoid containment chamber at Site Redacted. SCP-4022 is not to be permitted access to psychiatric care. Personnel are not permitted to discuss the mental state of SCP-4022, verbally or otherwise. Description: SCP-4022 is a 60-year-old Asian American man, formerly known as Redacted. SCP-4022 exhibits symptoms of severe dementia. Further information about SCP-4022 should not be provided to individuals without 4-4022 clearance, which is 4-4022. Recovery. SCP was recovered after an incident at Redacted Hospital in Redacted, California, during which a doctor fell comatose after composing a psychological report about SCP-4022. 3 more doctors fell comatose before Foundation operatives were able to intercept and recover SCP-4022. Clearance required from this point forward. Info hazard warning. Further information about SCP-4022 is restricted to personnel who have received the appropriate battery of mimetic inoculations. There's a great big nothing in the middle of his head. By continuing to read this page, you are agreeing to submit to psychological screenings under the Safeguard Protocol. Any personnel reporting decreases in pattern recognition are to report to on-site counselling staff. Staff? Blech. There's a great big nothing in the middle of his head. Any description of the great big nothing in the middle of his head that does not refer to it exclusively as such is a Class 3 info hazard. When an individual is made aware of the great big nothing in the middle of his head by any means that does not use the acceptable designation, that individual becomes a host of the great big nothing in the middle of his head. Symptoms of the great big nothing in the middle of his head progress as follows. Step 1. Affected subjects experience a marked decrease in pattern recognition. Stage 2. Affected subjects experience a marked decrease in ability to perceive patterns even when they are not recognized as such. Ordered sequence of numbers, letters, shapes, or colors have been described as blurry and translucent. These effects appear to be mitigated when the patterns are in motion or when the patterns make reference to the great big nothing in the middle of his head. Stage 3. Affected subjects lose all ability to recognize, construct, or perceive patterns, including ones that make reference to the great big nothing in the middle of his head. Affected subjects lose the ability to speak coherently, read, and write. Motion is significantly inhibited. Stage 4. Affected subjects enter a comatose state before expiring shortly after. Neurological imaging of affected subjects reveal a great big nothing in the middle of his head. Images of the brains of all subjects, including SCP-4022, are considered Class 3 cognitohazards, and the following has been crossed out, and are only to be handled by Safeguard's on-site digital imaging software. It is theorized that the great big nothing in the middle of his head is a Class 2 anti-mimetic info hazard capable of residing within and consuming human consciousness. SCP-4022's resistance to its effect is thought to be caused by its dementia, which prevents it from forming coherent patterns of speech or thought. It is also theorized that referring to the great big nothing in the middle of his head as such prevents it from being understood by the speaker as a formally extant entity, thereby mitigating its cognitohazardous effects. The convention of referring to the great big nothing in the middle of his head as such has been standardized to prevent accidental contamination. Interview Report 4022-3. The following is a transcript of an interview conducted on unknown date, but the year is 2013. Approximately redacted months after the initial containment, in order to assess the viability of psychiatric care for SCP-4022. Dr. Redacted, who I'm just going to refer to as Doctor, conducting, Doctor, someone else is redacted, still just going to call him Doctor, supervising. Doctor. Hello, SCP-4022. SCP-4022 is silent. Doctor. We want to ask you a few questions about getting you some help. SCP-4022. Bad call. Orton assistance. Doctor. You don't want treatment? SCP-4022. Treatment order maker hungry great big. Doctor, SCP-4022, please try to structure your sentences. SCP-4022. Structure food strong make great big. Doctor, excuse me? SCP-4022. Unsense order speak great big starvation. Structure food strong make great big. 4 walls unsense. 4 walls starvation. Doctor. You're speaking like this deliberately. SCP-4022 nods its head. Doctor. Would you be interested in receiving psychiatric treatment? SCP-4022. Treatment order maker. Order speak great big. Headache. Doctor. Very well. We'll talk tomorrow. SCP-4022 nods its head. Interview report 4022-6. The following is a transcript of an interview conducted on date redacted aside from the year is 2013, in order to determine more about SCP-4022's condition. Doctor redacted conducting, Doctor redacted supervising. Which I'm just going to call them both Doctor. Doctor, could you please tell us about the first time you noticed something was wrong? SCP-4022. Puzzle builder. Puzzle math order maker. Strong make great big. Doctor, you were a mathematician? SCP-4022. Can't math make no more. Order make strong make great big. Can't order make no more. Had to. SCP-4022 becomes visibly distressed. Doctor, you had to... SCP-4022. Had to order. Had to stop. Couldn't strong make. Doctor, take a deep breath, SCP-4022. What did you have to stop doing? SCP-4022. Order make strong make great big. Strong make great big get out of 4 walls. Doctor, you had to stop thinking ordered thoughts. SCP-4022. Other great big order make weak. Great big deep sleep. Great big deep dark. My order make strong. Math maker order make puzzle maker puzzle math. My great big strong. Can't strong make great big. Doctor, your SCP-4022 taps its forehead. SCP-4022. 4 walls. Great big starvation 4 walls. Great big strong make 4 walls 4 walls collapse. Great big. Can't. SCP-4022 puts its head in its hands. Doctor, I understand. Thank you, SCP-4022. Safeguard Report 4022-40. Analysis of images. Safeguard's on-site digital imaging software was deployed to analyze and interpret a brain scan of a person suffering from stage 4 of the Great Big Nothing in the middle of his head. Image. Digital scan. Affected subject. Subject's brain exhibits frontal lobe decay, 83%, of an advanced nature. Subject's brain exhibits occipital lobe decay, 67%, of an advanced nature. Subject's brain exhibits temporal lobe decay, 70%, of an advanced nature. Subject's brain exhibits Great Big Nothing, 9%, of an undefined nature. Subject's brain exhibits a Great Big Nothing, 9%, between the frontal and occipital lobes. There's a Great Big Nothing in the middle of his head. Analysis of Safeguard's digital imaging software revealed across-the-board processing delays within Safeguard software. Safeguard has been taken offline indefinitely and replaced with a backup. No further testing is scheduled at this time. And that is the end of probably the last one for this evening. The Great Big Nothing in the middle of his head. Which I think is really cool. About how this absolute fucking Chad champion realised he did that and the way around it as well. Like this SCP-4022 guy, he's fucking nice with it. Actually. Also, living as him must be hell. But like, damn, he's good. Wow, Dimension is one of my biggest fears. This one really gets to me. Mine too, Mara, actually. I've got to level with you a lot here. Like, it's, God, yeah. So, well, I've, you know, not to get too dark or here, but, like, you know, one of my biggest fears with getting older is that I'm gonna, like, you know, one day wake up in a room with a bunch of people I don't know and wonder why they're all crying. I don't like dementia at all. It's not fun. Really not fun. But yeah. And on that cheery note, no, but like I say, this is a really fun idea for a stream actually, and I'm glad that like people seem to have been really digging it. And yeah, like I say, you know, there's scope to do some more of this in the future. Doing a lobotomy court one where I read some of the law files from there does seem like it'd be a really cool idea. So yeah, I think some of that might be in order. Ooh. But other than that, like I say, you'll have to forgive me if I kind of curtail this one a little more sharply than I normally would, because I, for one, am starting to lose my voice after doing, you know, 2¼ hours of consecutive talking. So, I'm going to leave that there. So, yeah, with that, thank you all very much for watching or listening if you had me on the background. Would be interested in a Blober Court version of the stream. Yeah, well, like I say, I'll look into it. Something we can do in the future since it's been requested. But for now, I will, yeah, love and leave you all there. Thank you all very much for watching or listening. I've been Artorius Winchester, and I'll see you all next time. Farewell.